Story 1. My amazing wife and I had the most beautiful relationship. Until I cheated, then she found out and ran away, so 2 years later she is pregnant with another man, but I don't think I deserve this. I know, I'm aware of my faults, I know I screwed up. She and I had something beautiful. She is still the love of my life, we were together for 10 years, 2 dating and 8 married. But I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once, just one damn time. Somehow she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she found something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual, and everything felt weird. The house felt emptier. I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked, I started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." That was the last thing I got from her, 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who has been the only bridge between us. But he just told me that he was her legal representative and that she didn't want to see me. I fought, I got angry, but in the end, her lawyer just told me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to, I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. I know that if she gave me the chance, I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again. I know that I can make her forgive me. After all, many couples go through similar things and get over it. Why can't we be one more couple in that statistic? Why, after 8 years of marriage, of alcohol, weeks of barely eating, not sleeping. I was a zombie for months, I was just functioning on automatic. I wanted to disappear, but I couldn't let myself because I always held on to hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that the relationship is over, so you're always thinking that person will knock on the door or that you'll wake up from sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. I'll be honest, I didn't make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced, and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for couples therapy, but she refused. I know from my lawyer that her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice. But she refused. It took quite a while, but finally, the divorce happened. I can't even describe the feeling. I felt and still feel like a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her, I know I failed, but I think we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back, he only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in sex anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend, Rich, at my house. We were both pretty drunk. I started talking about my wife. And he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with a lot of confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused. I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her. Until he finally told me. His wife has been in contact with my wife for the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Saskia, my friend's wife, being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is, my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I was shattered. I literally felt like screaming in pain. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk, missing her, and wanting to disappear every day, she was happily on the other side of the world, getting married, making love, and getting pregnant by another guy? How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years, to the point that I thought she was infertile, but she got pregnant by this new guy so easily? Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely anything, and I feel like I can't go on with my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge intimacy with the first Norwegian guy she came across, got pregnant, and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally, and I guess, like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know, these thoughts are killing me. I refuse to think that she is in love with him. I need to contact her. I need to talk to her. I need to know what's going on because she acts like our 10-year history and 8-year marriage is nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse to travel to where she is and look for her, but how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in. I don't know where she lives. I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media. Her family is small, they don't live in the same country as me, and all of them blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back. Yes, even pregnant. I feel like this is a nightmare, and I need to wake up now. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I want to know who you cheated on her with. That's pretty important information. Response. It was a random woman that used to go to the same gym. Nothing important. It didn't mean anything, not even for a second. I just was being an idiot. Comment 2. You don't seem to have any remorse for cheating, just mentioned she somehow found out, so you were not planning on telling her? It's been 2 years, you need to accept responsibility for your actions and let go, she's never coming back. There's billions of people out there, just heal and improve yourself with therapy and I'm sure you'll get a second chance with someone else, you're only 35. Response. I do feel remorse for cheating. I'm a big mess right now, but I do feel remorse. Comment 3. If only half the people online have the self-respect your ex-wife has. Response. I don't blame her, I understand the pain I caused her. But I also think there are many couples who go through this and move on, especially when it was just one time. I never had a side relationship for months, I didn't cheat on her with multiple women, I didn't get another woman pregnant, I didn't cheat on her with her friend. Cheating is wrong, but are you really going to put me on the same level as a guy who cheated on his wife for years or who cheated on his wife with her sister? It's not an excuse, but I'm asking for some coherency here. Edit. It's hard to process all the crap that's been said about me. I feel like you guys forget that you are talking to a person and not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more empathy by sharing my story here. Just 2 people feeling empathy towards me, and their comment made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say that what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not be able to get over a person. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It will happen when it has to. Those who doubt my story, unfortunately, it's real. I would love this to be fake, but sadly, it is not, and I have to live with this mess every day. Everyone assumes she's happy now. I don't know, I mean, how do you know? I haven't seen her in 2 years. I can't have any idea if she's happier or not. Being pregnant doesn't necessarily mean happiness, and being married either. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she got pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one, and she just held on to the other guy. Of course, I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I had been a better person and a better husband to her. But unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I could do is try to make it up to her. But how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Some people said that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. I never openly blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases, the tests revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why we couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, and of course, the idea that I was too. But in most cases of infertility, it is due to a female factor. Maybe that's why I thought that. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I am not a harmful person. I am not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her way beyond what I can say. But I am not a monster or a narcissist. Some people said that I never loved her, otherwise, I wouldn't have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. You think you can kidnap the concept of love and tell another person what his real feelings are? You think you are inside my head or heart? Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I don't regret it. No one can tell me this isn't love. Lastly, humans are more complex than most people here think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her or that I don't have feelings. I called what I did a mistake because how else would I call it? I thought part of accepting blame is accepting that was my mistake. But everyone here takes those words as if I'm trying to twist the situation when that's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post, I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, for me, it's been one attempt after another to put together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I simply tried to be open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here. Not for me, at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she emigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Update. These days have been very strange. At times I feel numb, and at others, desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something, and then I will update. Some people asked why Norway? I don't know exactly, but she is a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she has always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She has always been interested in Norwegian culture and has been there before, but she is also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages. So for me, that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I will say is that the post reached some people in my circle. Saskia's sister, she knows the story and realized it was me. She told Saskia. Saskia is angry at Rich for revealing information, and Rich is angry at me for posting him because he says I pressured him to talk. I am angry at both of them for being two a-holes who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage, so why should I care about their marriage? Saskia could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping two friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough, I could find something related to her. I follow some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I had seen before but that hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that is not typical in the United States or my wife's country. She is not American, and a very strange last name. I went to her Instagram profile, and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture. Only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile. I was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman in their friends? I saw a lot of pictures of people, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, and flowers, typical things that an older lady posts, until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on his wedding. There were a few more pictures, not many. There were even some members of my ex's family in the wedding pictures. The dates of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago, she married this guy. I don't understand. How could it happen so fast? When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant, not before. This baffles me even more. After that, I found another picture. It was a group picture, and she was far away, but of course, I recognized her. The same guy was with his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. This picture was from February 2023. To be clear, she left in May 2022. How is she with someone in February 2023? Only 9 months, and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family? What the hell is going on here? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those who had imagined this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you, it's not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, too pale, has hair that is too long, and is kind of chunky, to be honest. He looks more like the old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. I managed to find his FB profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer. An engineer who wears metal band t-shirts at 38. I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself, just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical tastes as you. I mention this because maybe that was the way they connected. She used to connect easily with people who like the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and think, where did she get this guy from? I mean, she can definitely do better than this. The pregnancy thing still messes with my head. I try not to think about it. I can't understand it. I'm not infertile like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor, and I know I'm not. But God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I ever imagined. And no, I'm not going to go to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her. But I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce. You took advantage of her situation, and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. Saskia and Rich, F you. Goodbye. Story 2.
I wanted my stepdaughter to have my wedding dress, until she called it trashy, but as soon as I gave it to my future daughter-in-law, she suddenly wanted it and threw a tantrum. I, 42 feet, got married 24 years ago. I decided that if I had a daughter, I would pass the dress and accessories on to her. I chose a simple, elegant dress, rather than what was fashionable at the time, because I wanted something timeless that people could wear for generations to come. I had my son, Mark, 22 meters, a year later, and his father passed away when he was young. I raised Mark as a single mom for several years. I decided that when Mark married, I would give my dress and accessories to his wife. When I was 33, I met Robert, now 52 meters. I fell in love with him, and we quickly married. He became a great father figure for Mark, and I was so excited to have a stepdaughter, Molly, now 24 feet. My relationship with Molly had a rocky beginning. I've been patient and gentle with her. I've offered to take her shopping or get her nails done. I asked Rob about her favorite foods and made sure to cook those. She made it clear that she didn't see me as her real mom. Years passed, and I never changed the way I treated Molly. My door was always open for her, but she never changed the way she thought about me. She called me a trophy wife to my face. If I ever threw a charity event, she would remark, "Wow, you're so generous with Dad's money." While she didn't say anything explicitly, I could tell she looked down on me for not having a college degree. A couple of years ago, I made a final offering to Molly. I brought her into my closet, showed her the dress and accessories, and told her I would love for her to wear them at her wedding. Some alterations would have to be made. I am 5 feet 9 inches and a size 4, while Molly is 5 feet 4 inches and a size 8, but we could make it work. Molly scoffed and said I had archaic values, and that the dress was trashy, then walked out. That really hurt because she knew what that dress meant to me, and she didn't care. After that, I stopped making as much of an effort to build a relationship with her. 2 months ago, Mark proposed to his college sweetheart, Lucy, with whom I have a great relationship. When Lucy mentioned dress shopping, I showed her my dress. Lucy tried it on, and it fit like a glove. She fell in love with it, and I told her the dress, shoes, and accessories were hers. She was so happy she literally cried. However, a couple of days ago, Molly reached out to me out of the blue to ask if the dress was still available. I told her I had given it to Lucy. She asked if I could get it back from Lucy since I offered it to her first, and I told her 1, she said she didn't want it, 2, it fits Lucy perfectly, and 3, Lucy is the only one getting married in the foreseeable future. Now Molly is saying I'm favoring Lucy over her because she's conforming to traditional standards of femininity, getting married and being thin. That's absolute baloney, but it got me thinking that if the roles were reversed and Lucy was the one asking for the dress after initially turning it down, would I give it to her? Is Molly right that I'm favoring Lucy? What do you think? Relevant comments. Comment 1, Molly only wants it because Lucy has it. Lucy recognized how precious this dress was to you and treated it accordingly, while Molly turned her nose up in an attempt to hurt you. Lucy accepting the dress sounds like a wonderful bonding moment for you both. Cherish the memory, ease your mind, you've done nothing wrong. Comment 2, this is the answer. She found out that you gave it to Lucy, so now she says she wants it. Listen, she's just going to cut it up and throw it in your face anyway if you give it to her, breaking yours and Lucy's hearts at the same time. Avoid any drama. What's done is done. Comment 3, why did Molly even reach out to you about the dress, given that she's not getting married? What does she even want to do with something she considers trashy? It's obvious that she only wanted to hurt you here because she knew you were giving it to someone else. It has no meaning to her other than as a way to hurt you. You've already given the dress away, so you're done here. Update. Wow, thank you for all of your kind words. I wanted to give an update to respond to general questions and comments. First, I want to say that the fact that most of the comments are on my side is very reassuring. It makes me feel better about my decision to not give my dress to Molly. I saw some comments suggesting this, so I would like to let you know I already gave the dress to Lucy, and it's safe in her apartment now. Molly has already been bugging Lucy about the dress, but Lucy told me there's no way in heck she's giving it away. Some of you have also been wondering about Mark and Rob's responses. Mark is currently out of town on business, and I have had no communication with him on this matter. I'm sure he'll be supportive of Lucy, though. I did not bring this up to Rob because, while Molly and I have a difficult relationship, I don't want to sow division between her and her father. However, Rob brought it up last night, saying Molly had contacted him on the matter. Rob was like, "You aren't going to give it to her, are you?" When I said no, he told me to promise him I would not give the dress to her. It was very comforting to know Rob is on my side. Another thing I want to clarify is that I do not expect Molly to conform to certain standards. When I referred to traditional standards of femininity, getting married and being thin, I was paraphrasing words that came out of her mouth. I was raised in a traditional household, but I understand that a lot of women, especially young women, do not share my values. Frankly, Lucy doesn't either. She has an engineering degree and openly talks about wanting to prioritize her career over starting a family, at least for the foreseeable future, and I couldn't be happier for her. I do realize that I could have done a better job communicating to Molly that I don't care what she does so long as she is a good person and leaves the world better than she found it. Lastly, because after reading the comments, I fear I painted Molly in a bad light, I should say that Molly has had a rough life due to the divorce between Bob and her biological mother. I have never met her mother, and I don't want to go into gross detail on the internet about someone's life other than my own, but I will say that her relationship with her mother is not great. I think Molly might be projecting aspects of that relationship onto me. However, your comments have helped me realize she is in the wrong in this situation. I've also realized that it isn't just on me to build a relationship with her, she has to work at it too, and so far, she has not. I'm never going to shut her out. But at this point, if she wants to connect with me, she has to be the one making the effort. I really hope the best for her, but she sure as heck isn't getting that dress. Thank you, everyone.
Story 3. My best bub's fiancé clearly hates me, so she made sure I never received a wedding invite, but he had no idea, and I don't know if I should tell him, because it could ruin the wedding. I might have goofed up. Me, 32 meters, and my best friend Jordan, 32 meters, have been friends since diapers. We're basically family. After college, we both moved back home so we could live at home and get our feet underneath us. Jordan started dating Amelia, 35 feet, a lovely girl, around 4.5 years ago, and from the get-go, she seemed to politely dislike me. I don't know why. Oh well, c'est la vie. Jordan and Amelia moved across the country in 2021 after Amelia earned a promotion at work. In 2022, Jordan proposed, she said yes, and they set a wedding date for the end of September 2023. I got a save the date card at the beginning of the year and, based on the conversations I had with Jordan, assumed I would be in the wedding party, either as a groomsman or the best man, but never received any official confirmation from either of them. A couple of months before the wedding, I saw that wedding invitations had gone out on social media and figured mine was en route. It never came. I waited a couple of weeks, figured it might have just gotten lost in the mail, before I checked in with him. I called Jordan and had a brief conversation with him where he was clearly agitated and said he was dealing with a lot, would be incommunicado for the near future, to direct any wedding-related questions to Amelia, and he'd call me when things cooled off. I called, texted, and emailed Amelia several times over the course of a week, but she didn't respond to any of them. At this point, I figured I wouldn't be attending the wedding and that things were really messed up for some reason between the two of us. Yesterday, a little over 3 weeks after our last conversation, Jordan messaged me asking if I was free to chat. I jumped at the opportunity to get some answers, and after exchanging pleasantries, Jordan jumped right into a spiel saying that he knew I was super busy with work and dealing with a lot of personal stuff, but he'd love it if I could attend his wedding, even just as a guest, and wanted to know if there was anything he could do to help make that happen. I just blurted out that I'd love to, but hadn't received an invitation. Jordan stared blankly at me and said, "What?" And I just kind of verbal vomited that I hadn't received an invitation. That was the reason I'd called him a few weeks ago, that I'd contacted Amelia about it but she never got back to me and left me on read, and that I had no idea what he was talking about me dealing with too much to be involved in the wedding. After a very pregnant pause, he said he needed to go sort things out, and that he'd call me when it was done. My phone's blowing up since, with wedding attendees asking me what happened and why the wedding might be off now. My girlfriend has reaffirmed to me that I did nothing wrong, but I've had people from all sides saying I stuck my nose where it didn't belong and caused a stink, which is really messing with my head. Was I in the wrong here? Update 1. Jordan and I texted Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. He said he was handling stuff and asked if I'd be free to talk Thursday afternoon with him and Amelia, which I agreed to. This is just a rough summary, and I probably forgot some stuff. Frankly, I'm too mentally fried to weave a narrative right now, so it's just gonna be bullet points. A couple of pieces of info about Jordan to provide some context. Jordan was raised fairly sheltered and religious until he was 18, when he went to college and opened up. As a result, he still has some, I don't know, blind spots about certain things. Jordan has mild to moderate OCD. It's managed with low levels of medication and maintenance therapy, which is one of the reasons he gets overwhelmed easily, especially from unexpected stressors, and weddings are chock full of those. Now for the actual update. The wedding, it's still happening. I will be the best man, and I've been read in on all the things I need to do. The person who was filling in for me, Nathan, 34 meters, one of mine and Jordan's good friends who's also neurodivergent, is thrilled to not have to spend the day peopling and can instead party his socks off. As a result of this mix-up, Jordan, Amelia, or whoever's parents are paying for the wedding will be comping me and my girlfriend's plane tickets and hotel stay and my best man tux. What was the main driver of this mess in the first place? Amelia's pregnant, yay. They found out a couple of days after the wedding invites got sent out. Apparently, they were passively trying, then actively trying in 2022, but stopped and swapped back to heavy birth control once the save the dates went out because Amelia did not want to be pregnant on her wedding day. This led to several changes to the wedding, threw a bunch of other planning into disarray, sent Jordan into an OCD hole for a couple of weeks, which is why he was agitated when I called him and why he needed time to get his head around it all and get the intrusive thoughts managed, and one of the reasons why Amelia ignored or missed my messages and calls. Why did Amelia not respond to my messages? Besides surprise pregnancy, Amelia said that she's on her phone for work a ton and gets hundreds, if not thousands, of emails, texts and calls per day. She misses some stuff, especially since she didn't have my contact info saved, lol. I also emailed her work email instead of personal email, which I don't have, and my own personal email handle is not my name. In the future, I was told to be more insistent in my communication with her to break through her everyday noise. Duly noted. What happened to my invite? Amelia claims that she sent me one but must have sent it to my old address. I did move in March to my current residence, and the save the dates were sent out in January. What did Amelia tell Jordan about me not being in the wedding? Apparently nothing. According to Amelia, he either 1. Believed one of his intrusive thoughts was real when he was in his OCD hole, 2. He got confused when she told him one of her cousins with a similar sounding name to mine wouldn't be attending, or 3. Some combination thereof. According to Amelia, she always wanted me in the wedding. Why did Amelia not contact me after I didn't RSVP back? She assumed there was something going on with me and Jordan and that we'd sort it out and he'd tell her. In the meantime, she was busy with work, wedding planning, and unexpected baby. How did a bunch of wedding guests find out about this mess? Jordan called his mom for advice after our convo. Mom had church friends over, church ladies overheard a good chunk of their convo, and church ladies are gossipy kazoos. Jordan has spent a decent chunk of time the last couple of days putting out fires, so to speak. After about an hour, Amelia left to go deal with some wedding stuff, and Jordan and I chatted about things for a couple of hours. Do I believe Amelia's explanations? Kinda. The baby's real as far as I know, confirmed by a medical professional. She does have a cousin I know she's close with who has a similar sounding name to me, and she does work from her phone a lot, but the rest of it just seems a little too convenient, and I feel like I'm left with more questions than answers. The good news is since I'm in the wedding, I should have great access to figure out what's going on, I hope. Update 2. Veiled, it's been a while, 7 months. I've been absolutely swamped at work, putting out fires with my hair on fire for the last 6-ish months, so here's the brief version of the wedding and some post-wedding stuff. The lead up was boring, a ton of emailing back and forth between me, Amelia, other wedding people, venues, vendors, etc. Jordan and I had some pretty deep conversations over the week and reaffirmed the importance of our continued friendship. It was really awkward the first night we were there for dinner, especially considering both Jordan's stepsister, Sarah, 32 feet, and Amelia's younger sister and maid of honor, Diana, 29 feet, were already staying there. We stayed at an Airbnb within walking distance of Jordan's house. I went into event work mode pretty quickly, and that smoothed things out right quick and put Amelia at ease. I spent most of the lead up to the wedding either at the ceremony and reception site doing setup, gaffing, running cables, setting up monitors, hanging and focusing, building stuff, etc., or running around picking up stuff, people or silly people with Sarah. My girlfriend, Alice, 29 feet, was kinda miffed about the whole thing. She's never worked a wedding before, just attended, so she expected it to be like 50% working, 50% vacation, when it ended up being more like 90% me working and 10% vacation. She spent most of her time helping Jordan out with wedding support related stuff or gaming on my laptop when she gassed out or got too overwhelmed. The wedding was a fun mess, with tons of unrelated drama. Amelia sure knows how to design a beautiful ceremony and plan a shindig, I'll give her credit for that. I didn't get to enjoy much of it since I was working the wedding with a few other people in the wedding party more than attending, but c'est la vie. The ceremony took forever, though, and I felt terrible for all the bridesmaids who had to wear heels through that ordeal. Unfortunately, there was no gotcha moment or come to Jesus moment where I got the full story as to why everything went sideways, but based on what I observed while working the wedding, I think I've been able to piece together roughly what went down. Why wasn't I the best man? I think this had more to do with Amelia's parents, Ken and Karen, 60s, than with her, although she still doesn't like me. My main reasoning. Ken and Karen were paying for the majority of the wedding, more than Amelia, Jordan, and Jordan's parents combined. Jordan and Amelia sketched out pretty early what they wanted the wedding to look like. Throughout the process, Amelia made several significant changes out of the blue. For example, they originally agreed on a smaller wedding, something like 50 to 60 people, then one day Amelia wanted a larger wedding. Jordan didn't really care all that much and just figured she changed her mind. He just somehow missed that most of these changes occurred after Amelia either had a phone call or in-person meeting with her parents, which is on brand for him. Her parents were very standoffish towards me, to be expected, feelings mutual, and made a lot of, frankly, weird comments about Amelia's younger, totally not a troublemaker, brother, Chase, 23 meters, often in comparisons between us that flattered him, and kept insisting he was perfect best man material. Jordan has barely met Amelia's parents, maybe a dozen times over the last 5 years. Every time they visit for the holidays, Amelia has them leave early for whatever reason, and Amelia rarely initiates calls with them. Amelia acts really weird around her parents. Around everyone else, she's a badass modern woman, but around her parents, she gets super meek, like her mom asked her to go drive to some specific store over an hour away to get her a specific food item in the middle of wedding planning, and she just did it without any protest and left the rest of the wedding party in a lurch. When she got back 3 hours later, her mom took like 2 bites then threw it away. If I hadn't seen this with my own 2 eyes, I wouldn't have believed it, it was that bizarre. Lots of other innocuous stuff that individually means nothing, but when combined together, provides a decent amount of circumstantial evidence. So here's what I think happened, roughly. Ken and Karen wanted Chase to be the best man at the wedding, and Jordan really wanted me to be the best man. Rather than make a choice, Amelia appeased both parties by telling them what they wanted to hear while making no actual decision. The longer it went on, the more complex the lying got. When Jordan had his breakdown, Amelia saw a way to get out from under her Gordian knot of lies by taking advantage of the crisis. Unfortunately for her, Jordan came to his senses before the wedding, started asking questions, and when push finally came to shove, she chose her relationship over whatever was going on with the family, much to their apparent chagrin. Why does Amelia not like me? I have two main guesses here. I swear a lot. I tend to forget most people don't use the word flapjacks as a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, pronoun, preposition, conjunction, interjection, numeral, article, and determiner. Since I was working the wedding, I was on my best behavior and cut down on my swearing by a good 90%, which led me to notice that any time I, or anyone for that matter, curses, Amelia has a little grimace and cringe reaction. Amelia herself also rarely curses, and if she does, it's something pretty small like heck or darn, followed by a quick apology. It's probably exacerbated by the fact that in spite of my generally unprofessional behavior, I hold a fairly professional job. The dissonance can bother folks. Politics, and before people freak out, I'm somewhere between a democratic socialist and socialist on the political spectrum. I am a far cry from conservative, but for Amelia, that's not far enough left, as from what I can tell, she's either a tanky or tanky adjacent. This has been more or less confirmed to me based on her social media engagement relating to the major geopolitical events of the last 6 months or so. Probably exacerbated by the fact that my job involves working in geopolitics, so I am part of the repressive imperialist Western system. And as it turns out, I'm not the only person in the wedding who isn't super fond of Amelia. I found my flock, so to speak. What happened after the wedding? Jordan and Amelia had a healthy baby girl, named Iris. Sarah and I are the godparents. Jordan and I have been talking a lot more, for whatever reason. He asks me for childcare tips, like, bruh, I'm just as lost as you here, and have set up a weekly gaming session where we're slowly slogging through BG3 with Sarah and Nathan. As far as I know, Jordan and Amelia are in couples counseling, which seems to be helping from my vantage point. Amelia was weirdly against it, but Jordan pushed for it so he could be a better husband to her, and she relented. As far as I know, Amelia's already back at work and on most of her pre-baby schedule. Jordan's stepsister, Sarah, has been checking in on them periodically, and according to her, there are no major red flags at the moment. Amelia actually texts/emails me stuff now. It's mostly baby pictures, but it's a step in the right direction, and I appreciate it. I send cat pictures in response. Hopefully, this is the last update. My life got far too interesting for that month, and with my current workload, I doubt I could mentally handle more drama. Thanks for all the help, everyone. Story 4.
I don't want any more kids, because my husband keeps getting me pregnant, so I gave him the ultimatum that he has to get snipped or I'm leaving and taking the kids. My husband Jack, 28 meters, and I, 27 feet, have been together for 4 years. We have 2 young children, and I am pregnant again. I have been pregnant for what feels like most of our relationship. I got pregnant 4 months into our relationship. We got married a month before our daughter's first birthday and ended up with a honeymoon baby. After our son was born, I talked to my OB, and she put me on birth control. I have been taking it militantly. My daughter is now 3, and my son is 2. A little over a month ago, I discovered I am pregnant again, despite taking my birth control religiously. Canceling a pregnancy is banned in my state, and the pregnancy was discovered too far along to attempt to obtain one out of state. While Jack and I were nervous, we also love being parents and decided that 3 young kids would be a challenge, but 3 was a magic number for us. Then we went in for the first ultrasound and got some unexpected news: it's twins. Things have been tough financially, and while we were stressed but excited for a 3rd child, we were not expecting a 3rd and 4th child. Beyond the finances, I'm the primary caretaker, and I know that twins are going to be a lot. 3 children under 5 are already a lot, but 4 children under 5 are going to be really difficult for me. Physically, I'm tired of being pregnant. I've been pregnant or feeding for the majority of our relationship. It's exhausting, it feels awful, and I don't recognize my body anymore. 4 children are enough. I don't want more. I told Jack that I was done with pregnancy. I've been pregnant enough. I've been experimenting with different types of birth control for over a decade, and I still can't stop getting pregnant. Because pregnancy termination isn't a valid option where we live, we need something more permanent. He agreed and suggested an IUD. I told him no. If it failed, it could cause an ectopic pregnancy, which could end me, especially where we live. I've had birth control fail me multiple times already, and I'm not taking the chance, so I suggested a vasectomy. He was not open to the idea and was even upset that I suggested it and told me I should get my tubes tied. I told him a tubal ligation is a much bigger surgery, and I could be recovering for weeks, during which time I wouldn't be able to work or take care of our 4 young children, but he could ice his balls for a day or 2 and be done with it. He told me that not getting pregnant was ultimately my responsibility and topped it off by saying, "That's what your body, your choice means, your body, so you choose." That's when it went from a discussion to a full-blown fight. See, when I was 19, I had another birth control failure with my boyfriend at the time, Tom. I didn't want the pregnancy, but Tom did. I told him I was terminating it since it was my body and my choice, and Tom said some horrible things to me, including threatening me. I broke up with him and got it done. In response, Tom ended up following me one night and attacking me. I don't want to go into detail, but it was horrible, and he ended up going to prison for a number of charges related to the attack. Not only do I have a number of scars and some long-lasting physical effects, but I have PTSD as well. Jack knows about my history and diagnosis and has known from the beginning. I have a pretty prominent facial scar, so I was upfront about it early on in our dating. Jack always presented himself as very pro-choice, so I was shocked that he would say that. I got really emotional and started crying and shouting, and it turned into a full-blown fight. Eventually, I said that birth control is a two-way street, and so far, I've been the only one managing it, and he said, and now we have 2 kids and 2 more coming, great job. I told him he sounded like Tom, and he got super pissed, basically said how dare you compare me to him, and maybe he might want kids one day with someone who doesn't compare him to her felon ex-boyfriend. I was stunned and horrified. I said, well then let's not waste any time, then packed up myself and the kids and drove to my parents' place. It's been about a week since the fight. I've spoken with Jack a few times, and he has since apologized and said he was out of line and was speaking from a place of anxiety after finding out about the twins, but also that I said things that were out of line and it was wrong of me to insist he undergo a medical procedure. He said that he can move on from the things I said and that he wants to see his children and be a family again. I told him no, that I didn't want to move on from the things he said to me. I can't just get over that, and I think we need space apart. Jack was upset by this, and while we talked, I brought up getting a separation agreement to manage custody and finances while we figure things out. He did not like this suggestion, said we didn't need to pull the courts into this. I haven't told a lot of people about what's happening, but my family and a couple of close friends. My sister and best friend both think I should throw the whole man away, but my brother, who is the only other one married with kids, thinks that I'm being extreme for what sums up to a fight between 2 scared people who both said nasty things. My mom is trying to be supportive but is occasionally reminding me that I don't want to be a single mother of 4 and telling me not to let my PTSD drive my decisions, while my dad is being completely unhelpful. He thinks jokes are helpful, like calling me doorknob because I can't stop getting knocked up, telling me to let the oven cool down, real knee slappers. I don't know what to do. My kids are happy to be at Grandma and Grandpa's house, but they miss their daddy. I'm 4 months pregnant and already uncomfortable as hell. I wish I could go back to being a happy little family, but I'm so hung up on the things he said in that fight. Am I destroying my family over one bad night? Am I being unreasonable for asking my husband to get a vasectomy? What do you think? Edit. I've noticed a lot of people recommending barrier methods of contraception. I have gotten pregnant using Johnny's twice. Our second child and my first pregnancy were both conceived while using this method correctly, proper fit, correctly applied, single use, not expired, no breaks, etc. I do not trust this method enough not to fail a 3rd time. I know the failure rate is supposedly small, but it's not personally small enough for me. By the first pregnancy, I mean the pregnancy with Tom. With Jack, I was on the patch when I got pregnant with our daughter, using the plastic barrier method with our son, and the pill with the twins. So far, I haven't ever suspected that Jack has tampered with our birth control and always presumed that I'm a fertile myrtle. I recognize the comments and just want people to know I'm seeing the suggestion. I'm not dismissing it, but the thought of it is deeply upsetting and has provoked a lot of anxiety. I just wanted to make it clear that if the suggestion is only based on the plastic protection method, those pregnancies were with 2 different partners. While I know I always use the method properly with Tom, I do believe that Tom could have been fully capable of sabotaging the contraception. Relevant comments. You're not in the wrong, but your husband is though. Your body has already been through a lot. A tubal ligation is a serious surgery and you are right about being out of commission for a while when recovering. If he is more concerned with an imaginary future wife than he is for you, I don't think there is much hope for this marriage. We have 4 close friends who all got vasectomies. None of them bitched about it like your wimp of a husband. We actually had fun vasectomy-themed parties for them. On the off chance he does end up getting a vasectomy, make sure to do the follow-up appointments. One of the vasectomy Fantastic Four did not follow through and ended up with a post-vasectomy baby. Response: thank you. I feel like this is a lot of what has been so upsetting has been that he's thinking about some imaginary future wife when I'm right here, his actual wife, the mother of his children. It's like he's already imagining a future without me. Update. I in no way am forcing him to have a medical procedure, but I am saying that I do not want to be with a partner who is not willing to be snipped. This is an issue of compatibility. The number of children you want, the methods of birth control you're willing to use, those are issues of compatibility and a reason relationships end all the time. If he doesn't want to be sterilized, that's fine, but then that means that we're not compatible anymore, since it means he wants more children and I don't. Beyond the nice and supportive comments, there were some comments and some DMs that were just nasty, saying my body is a cemetery, and a few other things. Sadly enough, I expected those types of comments, because I know there are a lot of Toms out in the world. First, I wanted to address a couple things that kept coming up. You're 100% going to have a C-section anyway, so just get a tubal while giving birth. I'm not 100% certain to have a C-section. Twins are not an automatic indication for one. Given my birth history, there is no reason to presume it is inevitable. My OB agrees, acknowledging the possibility but also stating that based on my previous birth experiences, I'm a perfect candidate for a classic delivery. I'm not going to be vague. Tubal ligations are less effective than vasectomies and carry a much higher risk of an ectopic pregnancy, which can be life-threatening. I am rejecting birth control options that, if they fail, could endanger my life. I don't want to be pregnant again, but I also don't want to leave my children motherless. Given the current climate, there's no guarantee that traveling to another state for an emergency medical procedure will always be an option. It's important to understand that vasectomies are more effective than tubal ligations, period. Go to another state and obtain an abortion anyway. I truly appreciate the personal offers of assistance I've received in my messages, but the answer is no. I'm currently in my second trimester, which I know is still legal in some places. However, at this point in my pregnancy, I don't feel comfortable pursuing that option. I'm 16 weeks along, and these babies are no longer just clusters of cells to me. I won't expand on this further because it's not open for debate. Why not adoption? With all due respect to those involved in adoption, it's not the right choice for me. This is a decision I've contemplated before, and now that I'm a mother, I know it's even less of a viable option. Carrying a pregnancy to term, having my babies, and then parting with them would be emotionally devastating. Leave him and give him full custody of the twins. No. Going through a full pregnancy, having my babies, and then being separated from them would be too painful for me. Jack is sabotaging your birth control. I've detailed my birth control methods in the original post, but I want to address this because it came up frequently. I have no reason to believe that Jack sabotaged my birth control. Accusing my husband of reproductive coercion without evidence is a significant accusation. I'm not alone in my experiences. There's a reason the term fertile myrtle exists. Your husband is a narcissist, psychopath, and he does no childcare. Historically, my husband and I have had a healthy and loving relationship outside of this argument. This incident is the first serious conflict we've had, and we've always been able to resolve our smaller disagreements through communication. He's an involved father, and the distribution of childcare is based on factors such as maternity leaves, work schedules, and my boob feeding. While someone assumed I'm the breadwinner, Jack actually earns more, although the difference is not substantial. When he is home, he participates in household chores and parenting. However, the things he said during the argument were concerning, and we are working through them together. To get down to the real update, since my last post, Jack and I have had a serious and honest conversation. I won't go through all the details, but it essentially boiled down to this: it's about the vasectomy, but also much more than that. I acknowledge that it was wrong of me to compare him to Tom, but it was even worse for him to weaponize my trauma against me in such a hurtful way. The way he intentionally used the same language as my harmer to hurt me was not acceptable and damaged the trust between us. He agreed that his behavior was unacceptable and admitted that he felt horrified and ashamed of his own words afterward, explaining, not excusing, that he snapped under stress. Regarding his comment about his next wife, he clarified that it wasn't a lack of commitment to me but rather a reaction from feeling hurt and wanting to hurt me back. He has apologized numerous times and seems genuinely remorseful. Regarding the separation, I am still moving forward with it. I need space and time, especially before the babies arrive. I'm staying with my parents, who, for the record, are not tired of me or the kids. We're a close-knit family. I only moved out when I moved in with Jack, and my sister moved out about a year ago, so they have been empty nesters, and my mom doesn't like that we live too far away, an hour. What I have realized with space and time is how deeply triggering the situation was for me. It's something that I can't fully explain to those without PTSD from DV, but those who know will understand. It has deeply unsettled me, and I'm struggling to get over it, so to speak. There is now a lot of fear towards my husband that wasn't there before, and it's going to take a lot to repair that trust and sense of safety. I cannot make a decision while I'm in this state, and I'm addressing this with my personal therapist. Overall, I told him that if he wanted to stay married to me, I needed two things from him: marriage counseling and a vasectomy, and even then, I still can't guarantee anything. He understands, but I don't know what will happen with a vasectomy right now. We focused more on discussing the fight, but he is very aware that it's now a deal breaker. We have a marriage counseling appointment set up for next week. I'm hoping that counseling will bring some clarity to the situation. In the meantime, for the next couple of months, I'm focusing on giving my kids lots of cuddles and preparing myself for 2 new babies to come into my world, with or without Jack. Update 2. I've been hesitant to update because I know a lot of people have strong feelings about the original posts. However, I've continued to receive comments since my last post, so I figured it was worth sharing an update as a lot has happened. Since my last post, we've gone through with the separation while maintaining 50-50 custody, but we only shared this with our closest friends and family. We also started attending weekly couples counseling, and to summarize, we both had a lot to work through and we both put in a lot of effort. I won't share his reasons for avoiding a vasectomy, but he did explain them to me, and part of it involved deconstructing certain beliefs about masculinity. We also worked on the deeper issue, his use of my trauma during a fight. That was always the biggest issue, far more than the vasectomy. We spent a lot of time addressing this, which opened up the door to other deeper issues for both of us. We stuck to our agreed upon separation time because we both wanted to resolve our issues one way or another before the twins are born. While we worked with our therapist, we didn't discuss the vasectomy outside of structured therapy sessions. Our therapist felt it was best for Jack's choice to undergo the procedure or not to remain a non-discussion so we could focus on deeper issues. This approach helped make our discussions more productive, but it also meant I was left in the dark about his decision. There's been a lot of soul-searching and serious discussions between Jack and me. Things he said in therapy and our conversations have led me to believe he is deeply regretful of his words, understands their gravity, and is working to never repeat them. He hasn't reinforced those ideas or suggested he truly believed what he said. I've been open to his words while also being aware they could just be lip service. The agreed-upon separation period has ended, and we recently had our final therapy appointment during this time. Some things happened within our families that brought both complications and clarity. Jack went through with the vasectomy. He recovered quickly and was fine. I did not force him, it was his own decision. I didn't end the separation immediately after the procedure, and he knew this would be the case. We continued to do the work in therapy. He is not castrated or emasculated, he's the same man he was before, just no longer able to conceive. He had the procedure shortly after we started therapy but couldn't tell me due to our agreement not to discuss the vasectomy. He didn't get snipped to gain access to me, and I'm still pregnant anyway, and it wasn't solely to save the marriage. We are continuing therapy together and are in the process of reunification. We are still together, my husband has had a vasectomy, but now we have difficult decisions to make about the viability of living in this state and raising our children here. Following reunification, our next big hurdle is deciding whether to continue living here. This is something Jack and I have been discussing for a couple of years, and it's not brand new information. This conversation is coming to a head now because most of the reason we've stayed here is to be close to my family. His family is more spread out and less close. Both my sister and my brother and his wife have recently experienced things that make them feel unsafe here. My sister has already decided to move after what happened to her and how the laws here made her situation much more traumatic. We have 1 daughter and may have up to 3 daughters soon. How can we justify raising them here, knowing how the state would treat them? So that's where we are. We are still together, still actively working on our relationship and attending therapy, both couples and individual. Jack got the vasectomy and is doing great. Our next hurdle is deciding if we want to continue living in a state that has proven to be dangerously hostile. I don't know what else to say, that's pretty much it. Although the initial issue has been resolved, there's still a lot of uncertainty about the future, but I guess that's life, and that's everything for me. I appreciate all the help, thank you.
Story 5.
My friend invited us all to a kid-free party, and banned all children, so we were all excited to be away from our kids, except we realized we were only there to babysit her own kids. First of all, I would love a real adults-only party where adults can talk and have conversations without kids interfering. She isn't doing that. She is having a whole party for everyone to focus only on her kids. I need to know how to address this with her. This has happened twice so far. The first time, we all assumed she must have planned for childcare that backed out or something, but since we weren't sure, we didn't ask her. I think everyone felt awkward, believing they were paying babysitters for an adult night and then having to deal with her kids at the dinner table, with them being very actively part of the evening and needing to be entertained, 2 young kids. Then, it happened again. She sent out invitations for a dinner party in the evening, specifying adults only. Then, when we got there, she had set up all these kids' games everywhere. She arranged the night around everyone playing with her kids, and I could tell everyone felt awkward because people just wanted to have an adult night talking. But she had promised the kids that everyone would participate in the games they had set up and asked everyone if they wouldn't mind playing with the kids. I know that several people who attended the last event were very bothered by this. People were whispering on the side about how they had to pay a babysitter for the night and would have preferred to bring their kids along so the kids could just play games together if it was a family event. We barely ever pay a sitter, so I was confused about why I had to spend my very limited babysitter funds on a night that I didn't even get to talk much with other adults because the kids were definitely the center of the evening. She even stopped everyone to gather around to look at the kids' recent art projects, tell stories, and sing. Is this normal in other circles? What would you do if this was your friend? If I do say something, how would you explain this so that the person isn't mad or feels like you just don't like their kid? She was mad because everyone left early, and she had catered the event, but I think people didn't want to stay and preferred to just go back to their kids because they felt a little disrespected by the way things went. People are saying they don't want to hang out with her anymore. I don't know what to do. How would you feel? Relevant comments. Comment 1, absolutely not normal. This isn't an adults-only party, this is a group babysitting gig where everyone paid for their own babysitter fees, and she gets it for free. There's no way she doesn't know what she's doing unless she's really that deluded. Response, I can't explain her entire personality, but I don't think she is actively manipulating because she is a very kind and considerate person in all other ways. It's like she truly isn't realizing that people are bothered. I don't know if it is because she thinks we all love her kids so much that we want to spend quality time with them without our own kids distracting us. We do love her kids. But I prefer to also bring my own kids so they can all play together. I thought she also loved my kid and would want them to be there to play as well. If that's not the case, then I guess the friendship would be over. Comment 2, just tell her you'll bring the kids next time to play with her kids. See her response. If she responds with but it's an adults party, then just call it out that it isn't with her kids there and her wanting everyone to play with her kids. If she accepts it, then tell her not to call it an adults party next time. Response, this seems like a decent plan. I could say, hey, I'm going to bring my child to play too, and see her reaction. Maybe that would prompt her to at least explain her line of thinking. She is not a bad person. She seems unaware that this bothers people. She genuinely has been a good friend. Update. I never expected so many people to be interested in this situation, but I think it helps me feel vindicated that the situation was just as strange as I had perceived it to be. I wanted to wait for the kids to get back into school so we could discuss it in person. Luckily, I didn't even have to bring it up because someone else did, and she was eager to tell me that people were mad, and she didn't know what the problem was with what she did. I was able to get through to her, she's called Kathy by the way, and also understand her perspective, understand, not agree with, which I'll try to explain here as best I can. I cannot remember every detail of the conversation but can paraphrase all the key parts. She had been upset because one of our friends, Mole, was taking care of her toddler while Kathy's kid kept trying to show her something. Kathy noticed this and felt bad that her daughter just wants to share things with people she thinks of as her family or aunts. We are just friends, but the kids call each other aunts and each other's kids cousins, so she wanted to build a stronger relationship between her kids and her close friends. She thought that us spending time with her kids away from our kids would be the way for us to show her kids better attention. This is especially important to her because she is an only child, her parents are dead, her husband is an only child, and his parents are dead. Her children have no biological family. She is worried about what will happen to them if she dies, etc. Her mom died when she was a teenager, and she feels anxious about her health. She doesn't feel that other people's kids need this same type of bond with her because our kids have biological aunts, uncles, and cousins. She thinks they should be able to go spend time with their biological family and assume that we were all sending our kids to our family and not paying a babysitter. She has no understanding of what it's actually like and romanticizes it. She was shocked to find that my siblings don't just drop their lives to babysit my kid. People who have siblings still pay babysitters, and did for her parties. She feels that she paid for all the food and wine, and that alone should cover the expense of the babysitter even if we did pay one. She knows that paying a sitter plus dinner would still cost more since she catered everything from a very expensive place, and we should have just been happy to get free food and drink. If playing some kids' game is the price for that, it's not a bad price. Essentially, she argued at first that if someone pays for everything, they can decide, and if we want a different type of gathering, we can foot the bill and throw that gathering. Now, how I handled this, that last note did eventually change to a more understanding perspective as I explained more and more about how even though she is technically right, she cannot maintain strong friendships with this mindset. You cannot provide meals for people with strings attached and deception involved, we didn't know until we got there, and expect us to love it. She can do whatever she likes, but people can also end a friendship if they like, so she is free to do it but not free from the consequences of it. I also was very clear to her that if her goal is to get stronger bonds for her kids, the way to do that is to love and bond with our kids and include them. That part seemed to be totally unexpected to her. I had to explain that people will be so upset by the fact that she isn't including their kids in kid events or isn't accepting that a parent needs to take care of their own kid first before focusing on hers, that they won't even want to be part of her family because that isn't what a family is. My sister doesn't expect me to leave my kid behind and be only with my nephews. My sister would never tell me not to bring my daughter to a family event because she loves my daughter, and that makes me love her and my nephews even more. I had to explain all this. Lastly, she is rich and grew up rich, and as an only child, she admits that she struggles to see things from other perspectives or to consider other people's feelings. She has to make a conscious attempt to really see outside of her own wants and needs. She said she even talks about this in therapy, and that's why she goes out of her way to do nice things for us. I put some examples of her acts of kindness in the original post, because that's her way of trying to actively be a generous and caring person. She did cry, as expected, especially when she was talking about her kids not having any family and her mom and dad dying. I'm very glad I did not mention it at the parties like everyone suggested, because I would have never wanted her to do that in front of people. It goes deep, and she needs therapy to continue working on it. Overall, she did come around to the realization that she needs to alter her way of thinking about it and do things differently if she wants to achieve what she claims. She continued to reiterate how much her kids love me, how much she loves my kid too. She said she wants to do things the right way. She just is frustrated because what makes sense to her doesn't make sense to other people, but she accepts that it's she who will need to fix her way of thinking. A lot of crying and some arguing, but overall, it does appear that we are still friends. We hugged, and she said she is going to do something nice for everyone and their kids. Thanks for some of the advice.
Story 6.
My wonderful relationship with my boyfriend has turned sour after he got down on one knee, so he blames me for ruining it as he thinks I'm now a bridezilla. My partner and I have been together for nearly 6 years. He has honestly been the most amazing, wonderful, and supportive person in my life. He doesn't just make me happier, he makes me healthier. He's been absolutely fantastic in every way imaginable. About 2 years ago, we had the big marriage talk. We were both honest about what we wanted. He admitted that getting married made him so nervous. He has literally never seen a successful marriage. Every marriage he's ever witnessed has either ended in disastrous divorce or very sad premature death. I said I would stay with him whatever he chose, but there are some things I wouldn't do unless we were married. Just as he's seen too many marriages fail, I've seen too many loved ones be abandoned by men once the kids come along or when he finds a better option. In other words, as long as we weren't married, no kids, and our finances remained strictly untangled from each other. He proposed to me a few months after that, and since then, he's turned into an absolute nightmare. First, he refuses to do anything wedding related but accuses me of taking over and being a bridezilla when I make decisions without him. He does things behind my back, like inviting our friend who has 4 kids to bring the children when we agreed the only exception to the no kids rule would be my niece, who will be 3 months old and, for obvious reasons, can't be separated from my sister for the weekend. I can swallow that frustration, but he's also become hypercritical. Any mess around the house, even if he made it, if I haven't cleaned it up by the time he gets home, he refuses to talk to me. I work from home, so I usually do a lot of the chores like the dishwasher during my lunch break, but sometimes I don't have time. This is a busy time of year, and while my job is usually constrained to the 9 to 5, in the last few weeks I've had to work until 8 or 9. When he stormed in last night, angry that he had to clean the kitchen, and I pointed out I'd been working for 12 hours straight, he looked me in the eyes and said, "So?" He's threatened to throw me out of the house and call off the engagement 4 times. He's stopped initiating fun time. I've come to dread the sound of the door unlocking because he can't go 5 minutes without finding a problem to have with me. It's so bad that my mother, who was ready to adopt him a year ago, is refusing to be the witness that signs our marriage certificate. I've asked to call off the wedding, go back to being just girlfriend and boyfriend, but he says he really does want to get married and he's just doing all of this to make sure he's making the right choice. Increasingly, though, all he's done is convince me I'm making the wrong one. What the heck do I do? Edit, if it wasn't clear, I'd already decided not to marry him when I made this. I'm packing up and going to my mom's for now. I'm safe and don't need anyone to call the cops. Thanks to the person who offered, though. Relevant comments. Comment 1. If you have to convince someone to get married, girl, don't do it. If they want you, they'll move mountains to make it happen. This dude was simply dumb enough to let the mask slip before he had you trapped. Response. I mean, when we discussed it, I told him I would be perfectly happy not getting married if he didn't want to. I knew he felt generally disillusioned with marriage. I just simply wasn't willing to commit to something like kids or a mortgage if he couldn't honestly say he was planning on staying with me for the rest of our lives. Nothing would have happened if he hadn't asked me. Comment 2. Do you think he wants to marry because you said you won't combine finances until then? Response. I don't think so. I have thought a lot about that. At the time he proposed, we knew his grandma was going to pass away soon. We were renting the house next door to her, and while we knew he'd inherit the house we were living in, the two houses had slowly merged gardens in the 10 years he and his grandma had been living next to each other. The two houses have been in the family since the 30s, so he was quite keen on buying next door to both avoid losing it. The family member who inherited it couldn't afford to keep it, but also because having a stranger live there would have been a huge privacy issue for both houses. We'd hoped to rent it to a friend or another family member. He does earn a lot more than me, but he's self-employed, so the banks are quite wary of loaning to him. I work in a university, which the banks consider a safe professional job, so getting credit and loans would have been much easier if he'd been married to me. Thinking back on it, I wonder if he asked me not because it was something he wanted per se, but just something that made sense. We'd been together for a while, so it made sense to keep moving forward. It made financial sense, and his family liked me. I'm not a perfect partner or person, but weighing it all up, marrying me had lots of factual advantages for him. I even have dual American citizenship, and he'd always dreamed of moving to America one day. Update. This has honestly been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I'm back in with my parents, which is awful. I hate it. I feel like a teenager again. They're being very supportive, and I'm grateful I had somewhere to go, but the house is so damn loud, and I forgot what it was like. I'm trying to find an affordable apartment, but it's London, so that feels like a bit of a pipe dream. To top it all off, canceling a wedding a month before is expensive. Only the celebrant and the photographer have accepted refunds. Every other vendor has been paid in full, and that's money just flushed down the toilet. It's been exhausting. Before this, I was in a pretty great financial situation. I had savings and a plan and a house and a financially stable partner. Now I have less than a tenth of my savings, nowhere to live, and no real prospect for the future. It's not easy processing losing him, not easy at all. I'm still in the part where everything makes me cry, and you feel like someone has taken scissors to your soul, but I've experienced both grief and breakups. I know this feeling will eventually fade, even if it might never completely disappear. When it's mixed in with the relief of being able to exist without criticism every 5 minutes, I'm hopeful it will pass sooner rather than later. But I have no experience with this kind of existential fear of being alone, not having the family I've wanted for so long, not knowing what's next, and actually trying to date someone. When I was little, I never knew what I wanted from my career other than that I had one, but I always knew I wanted to be a mom. That dream feels like it's getting further and further away every day. I have no experience with this burning embarrassment of telling everyone in your life that the wedding they were invited to isn't happening. It was so painful telling his niece and nephew I wasn't going to be seeing them again. They cried and clung to me and begged me not to go, and they ripped my heart out. It's easy online to tell someone to end things, but when you've built a life together, disentangling it is so bloody difficult. A divorce would be easier because then we'd have a legal framework for all of this. Instead, I have to decide if I want to take him to court for the custody of my cat when I don't have a proper place to house her, but she's my cat. You might have noticed I've avoided really talking about my ex. We're communicating through our parents. He tried to reach out several times, but if I talk to him, I know I will do what I always do. I will buckle and take him back because I love him very, very much. I've been in therapy, again, courtesy of my parents, and my therapist has to keep reminding me to love myself more than I love him. I miss him anyway. He's promised to change, promised couples counseling, promised he knows he was wrong. But he also hasn't said the word sorry yet. Such a small word, and yet so telling. He's been generally pretty accommodating to me. Expenses have been split 50-50, which is fair but certainly a worse deal for me. He left the house so I could gather my things in peace. I can tell from the state of it this has hit him hard. The cats have been the only sticking point, and I understand why. The house is old and creaks. Being there alone isn't fun. Neither of us liked it when we were alone, and a large part of the reason we got cats was for the company at night when the other was away. I'm sorry if this wasn't the ending you wanted to hear. I appreciated all the advice.